Hello everyone, welcome to my kitchen. My name is Michael and today I'm going to show you how to make collard greens. Stay with me and I'll show you how this is done. All right, let's get started making our collard greens. I've got a couple of bundles here of collard greens and I'm going to show you how I'm going to clean these and how I'm going to prep them. So I'm just going to take a knife and I'm just going to cut one of these outside leaves off. So if you've never made collard greens before, they can be pretty dirty on the inside down in here. Like with most greens, there could be a lot of sand or grit down in them. So we definitely want to clean them and we want to inspect the leaves, make sure there's not any bugs or anything on them that could be hiding. So we want to clean these really good and we're going to take the stems out of them. You can get the pre-packaged ones in the store. Those are already cleaned and done, but what I don't like about those is this big stem. They just cut the whole leaf up into the bag and then you're left with a lot of stems and things. I don't like that in mine. I like the leaves if I'm going to eat the greens. So there's two ways you can take this stem out. You can cut it out or you can just rip it. So I'm going to show you both directions here. So if you just want to take it and just rip it like that, the stem comes right out of it. That's the easiest way to do it. And it comes out good and you're left with the leaves and then you just throw this away. And let me get another one here. Or you can take the leaf itself if you want to, and fold it down the middle. And you can cut it out by just running the blade down both sides of the stem, and then you can just pull this top half off, and you can do it that way. So whichever way you do it, this is what you'll be left with, is these nice big leaves. And I'm going to continue to work on those. But you can definitely leave the stalk in it if you want to. I don't particularly care for it in mine. You can pull it out the way I did the first one, or you can cut it out on the second one here. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to continue to take the stalks out of them, and then I'll take them and we'll get them washed and I'll show you what we're going to do next. All right, now that we've got our stems removed from our leaves, you can see here what I've got left. So that big stack of those bundles is what I've got left here. These are going to cook down a lot. So that's when you get them in the store, you're thinking, oh my God, there's a lot of greens here. But these will cook down. If you've ever cooked like mustard greens, turnip greens, or if you've ever wilted lettuce, it just wilts down to nothing, especially like spinach and things. If you put spinach and things, it just shrivels down. This will do the same thing. So this looks like a lot, but this will cook down. And so now I'm going to show you a couple of techniques on how to cut this up. If you want to, because the way that the stems are here, if you just want to cut them across this way and just cut you some pieces out. If you want to do that, you can definitely do it that way. If you want to roll it up, you can roll them up. I start here on the outside, roll it up, and then you just take it and just cut across. And that gives you these nice ringlets there, so you can pull those apart. So however you want to do it, I'm probably going to cut mine up like this, the little squares, but definitely if you want to do it this way, this is an easy way to do it also. And I'm going to work on this batch and then we're going to give them a good wash, and I'll be right back. As I was working on these, I thought I would just show you something. So I've got several layers here that I've got stacked on top of each other. And if you just want to cut those down like that and then roll them over on it, and that way you can cut these into little squares. You can cut those in probably 2 or 3 inch little squares. All right, now that I've got my greens cut up into little squares here, I'm going to utilize my salad spinner and I'm going to go over to the sink and I'm going to give these a good wash, and we'll come back and show you what's going to happen next. So now we're going to wash these. Going to wash them probably 2 or 3 times just to make sure that there's not anything on them, any grit. I didn't see a lot of anything on them when I did initial inspection of them when I cleaned them, but there's not to say there's not any grit down in the leaves. So now we're going to go and I'll give this a triple wash, and we'll be right back. All right, I thought I would show you my washing technique on these. So I've just got the bowl here filled with water, and we're just going to kind of move those around in that water just to make sure that any of that grit that might be on those leaves falls through and down into the bottom. And we'll just give those a good wash through, and you can lift it up, and then you can change the water out and we can do it again. Once we're done with that, we'll do these 3 times and then we'll put them in this colander that I've got here over this pan. That way any more of the moisture can drip out of them. You don't really need to spin them because we do need a little bit of that moisture in there. So when we do put them in our pan and steam them down, that'll come in handy as we approach that point. So I'm going to continue washing these and I'll be right back. All right, we've got the greens washed now, and they're just resting in this colander, letting some of that water drip off into that pan below it. And I'm going to go ahead and get my other ingredients. I've got 4 garlic cloves here that I've minced up. And this is a fairly large size onion. I'm just going to take half of that, and I'm going to cut that in 2. And then I'm going to take the bottom off and the top off and take that outer skin off. And then I'm just going to roughly chop that into some long pieces. And then I'm going to take those and just cut those in half. All right, there's my onions ready to go. All right, now that we've got our onions cut up, I've got 8 slices of bacon here. I've got a fairly large amount of greens here. This is hickory smoked bacon, thick cut. I did find some apple wood and some cherry wood that was smoked also. Definitely want some type of smoked meat here. If you want to use ham hocks, you can. Hog jowls, turkey, you can do that. It's whatever you like, just any kind of smoked meat that you've got, you can do that. So I've got this here, and I'm just going to cut these into little pieces, about like that, and I'm going to continue, and I'll cut the rest of this up. All right, now that we've got our bacon cut up, I'll meet you at the stove, and we will start cooking our greens now. So stay with me. All right, let's move on to our next step for our collard greens. So I've got my bacon here, and I've got a 7-quart Dutch oven. I'm just going to put the bacon into the Dutch oven, into the bottom, and we're going to give that a nice brown. And that's going to render off a lot of fat that we're going to need for our greens, and a lot of flavors and things that the bacon is going to release. So let's cook this down now. And I'm going to turn that flame down on that to about a medium so we can cook this nicely. And just give a good stir around. That'll kind of break up that where I didn't pull it apart into the bottom of the pan. So if you're cooking a smaller amount of greens, you might not want to use as much of the meat in it, but definitely if you've got a lot, you can add as much or as little of the meat that you can put into your pan and to your greens. Okay, our bacon is done. I've got a slotted spoon here because I want to leave that grease behind, and I'm going to take the bacon out. All right, I have got a lot of bacon grease in there, so I'm going to take some of that out because our next step is I want to saute my onions, and I don't want them in that much oil, so I'm going to take some of this out. All right, I have left some of the oil in the bottom of it, not a lot. I'm going to turn my flame back on. We're going to put that on medium. And then I'm going to put my onions in, and I'm going to cook those just a little bit, just to soften them up. All right, now that I've got my onions cooked down a little bit, I'm going to start adding my greens, and we're going to wilt those down. All right, I'm going to give that a little stir around. And you can see here that steam is already wilting them down. So I'm going to put the lid on it just for maybe 30 seconds and let some of that steam wilt that down, and I'll continue to add my greens. All right, that is all my greens that I've got. And I'm going to put the lid back on it and wilt these down, and we'll stir on these. We're going to cook these for about 35 to 45 minutes until we get them wilted down pretty good and get a nice consistency that I like of tenderness. So we will be back. I'm going to continue to cook this, and I'll show you as we move through this process. Okay, now to this, now that we've had that in there for about a minute and it's wilted down, I'm going to add 2 cups of chicken stock and a little bit of salt. We'll put about a teaspoon in it to get it started. And I'm going to give that a little mix around. And I'm going to put the lid back on it, and we'll capture that steam for our greens. All right, I did saute my garlic, and I'm going to put that in now. I put that in another pan, but you can definitely saute that when you saute your onions. And I'm going to give that a little mix through. Okay, the lid goes back on it, and we'll continue to cook them. All right, let's check on our greens. It's been about 5 minutes, and I'm going to give them a good stir around. We'll get a lot of that font that's on the bottom of the pan off. That gives it some good flavor into our greens. So they are wilting down nicely, and they are coming along. So I'm going to put the lid back on these and just keep a watch on them, and I'll show you the progress. All right, let's check on our greens again. Those are looking nice. Let's give them a little stir around. Oh yeah. All right, now I'm going to put my bacon back in. These have been cooking for about 25 minutes. I'm just going to put that back in there. A little bit of that seasoning in it. And we'll just kind of stir these around a little bit. And we'll continue to let these cook. You want to test them also to see if you need to add any more salt, anything else, any kind of seasonings at this point. So I'm going to give them a try now and see what they're tasting like. All right, those are coming along nicely. I'm going to put just a little bit more salt in them. See, I'm going to let the bacon cook in it just for a few more minutes and let them wilt down some more. And I'll see about if I want to put some vinegar in it. I usually put vinegar when I get to the table in it, but if you want to add vinegar to the mixture, you can. That just kind of takes some of that edge off of it, but we'll let these cook another 5 or 10 minutes and then I'll make that determination at that point. Lots of options that you can do for seasonings for your collard greens. All right, our collards have been cooking almost an hour now, and I'm going to give them a test to see how they are and a little stir. And your cooking time will vary a little bit on these two, depending on how big the leaves are. The smaller the leaves, the more tender they'll be, and the bigger the leaves, they'll just need a little bit more time to cook. So everybody's time will cook on these just a little bit. So let's give these a try and see where we are with these on tenderness. I have not added anything else to them other than just cooking these down at this point. So let me give these a try. All right, I'm going to add just about a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar to that. I might come back here in just a few more minutes and add some more, but like I said earlier, I usually reserve that and add that at the table because I really like it once I get to the table. So I'm going to put just a little bit in these. And my liquid is almost cooked off of these. I'm going to leave the lid off these and let these cook about another 5 minutes, and I'll come back and see if I need any more apple cider vinegar. If not, these will be done, and I will plate these and we will come back and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, we are back and I've got my collard greens in my bowl now. These look incredible, and let's give these a taste test. As I was getting ready to take them out of the pot, I did add another tablespoon of that apple cider vinegar to it, and it just really woke this flavors up in these collards. So let's give these a try. These are incredible. They are tender. That flavor of that smoked bacon that we put into those and that little hint of that vinegar that we've got in there did these justice. I hope this has inspired you to try to make some collard greens. If you've ever made them in the past, maybe I might have given you some incentive to do something different to them. But anyway, I appreciate you watching my video today. And if you like this content, maybe you might want to check out one of these other two over here. You might find something else you like. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye now.